Hello, my name is Vlad Tetelbaum. I'm one of the founders of Swivel, and today I'm going to talk to you about the effective use of video, something that our company knows a lot about because we've been doing video and bringing video to education for many years. And specifically, we're going to talk about how to use video to improve instruction, improve coaching, and observation. We all know that observations are important because they are used to improve skills. In sports, we see coaches who are providing direct and personalized feedback to athletes. And in schools, the same thing happens where coaches, instructional coaches, go into the classroom and observe teachers and provide them with the feedback. The difficult part about in-person observations where a coach has to go into the classroom is logistically difficult to arrange all of the schedules. A lot of the times you have to be in a very specific time in a very specific situation to be able to see the right content in order to provide the feedback for the teacher. And so a lot of the times the observations become very infrequent because of that. The second downside is the bias that the observer might be bringing into the classroom, but more important, when they sit down with the teacher, there's not a common basis that they can discuss. There's the perception of the teacher of what they've seen and or what they've experienced in the classroom, and there is the perception of the observer of what they've seen and what they perceived in the classroom. But when they sit down and meet, they don't have a common basis. The third part of the observer effect, or Heisenberg uncertainty principle, we know that if somebody is in the classroom and the kids are paying attention to them, or the teacher might be acting differently, the kids are acting differently, the classroom environment is affected by the observer who is in the classroom. The new standard for how to do observation is to use video. First of all, it is more convenient, and you can solve a lot of the logistical problems by recording a video when it's convenient for the teacher. One person can manage many video recordings or review many video recordings without actually needing to be physically present in the classroom. It also, if used properly, can empower the teacher. The teacher can present the video and the content that they're most comfortable sharing. And if they're in control of the sharing process and they're in control of who gets to see the video, it's a great way to build a relationship. Video started kind of as a niche, highly produced, complex, with a lot of support technology, but it has been progressing more and more to where today video is seen as something that is very accessible. Gates Foundation research, for example, showed that video is a great way for teachers to do self-reflection and to improve. Race to the Top funds have funded a lot of professional development and video-based coaching programs. And of course, flip cameras and then mobile phones today have accelerated the accessibility of the technology to where every day in any classroom you can record a video and make it look great. On the global scale, we're actually seeing video explosion has accelerated tremendously in the last 10 years. In almost every state, we have video programs where teachers are using video for both coaching, but also with the students. Top 50 districts in the United States are using video every day. We are an international organization. We are seeing an acceleration, not just in the United States, but also Australia, UK, Middle East. A lot of countries are very interested how they can utilize video to bring better educational environment, better coaching environment, and then bring that skill set forward. And of course, outside of education, we're also seeing people are getting interested in video as a teaching tool, both in the corporate world, in healthcare. And although video is not 100% unbiased media, we're actually seeing today in the world, on the streets, people are using video to convey and to share information. So let's step back a little bit and talk about who is Swivel, who is, or what is our company all about. We've been a leader and a pioneer in video-based coaching, and we have been chosen by TIA to create the observation system. Swivel handles millions of videos already. We work with over 50,000 schools all over the world to capture and share their video within the educational environment. Even in the state of Texas, we are now probably in more than 800 different educational institutions, anywhere from higher ed institution like Texas Tech and their teacher preparation program, all the way to majority of the school districts that we're working in Texas. Swivel products or system or environment is composed out of two parts. We have a swivel robot that tracks the teacher around the classroom so that as they move around, they're always kept within the view of the camera. And we're also gathering the audio, which we found to be even more important to understand what's going on in the classroom, to gather the level of engagement of the students, and to hear some of the small group discussions. We also have a product which is paired with the robot, which is called Swivel Teams, which is a cloud-based software platform where the coach and the teacher, or the teacher and the student, can engage in a conversation and a collaboration around the video that was captured. A lot of tools are built in there for the coach to provide accurate and time-appropriate feedback. Rubrics can be used. We have tools like speech analysis, where we can analyze what is being said and then provide metrics back to the teacher. What we're known for is an end-to-end solution. So some of the other vendors have tried to create a point solution where they would, for example, look at how to capture the video, but not how to make it useful and actionable. Some people have looked only on the software side. We have decided to look at the whole end-to-end process of capturing and sharing and building your skill set based on video. We're also pride ourselves in making the idea of recording video as something as fun. Even the robot that we've created is with an intention to make it something that the teacher wants to use, something that the person wants to engage with, something that's seen as helpful and fun. And our software platform is probably one of the most secure and was built around some of the basis of creating a private environment for people to work with. After many years of working with the school districts around the world and mostly in the United States, today I would like to share a few things about what we've learned from our customers and what we've learned by working with them to make their program successful. We have accumulated a lot of knowledge and seen a lot of challenges where certain programs succeeded and certain programs did not. And we have some ideas, tips, and advice of how to make your program successful. We divide challenges into three major parts. There's the organizational challenges, there are technology challenges, and then there's privacy and security. And I'm gonna go into the details of each one and both share the challenges as well as the solution that we have come up with. The most important thing that we've seen where a program that's based on video has failed is the lack of leadership, or a leadership where it has changed, the ideas of what they wanted to achieve has changed, or the goals have now become opposite of what they were before. And so one of the key things that we recommend that anyone who is building a program establishes is selection of a leader, somebody who is defining what are the goals of the program, they have their own vested interest in it, they're aligned with what the vision is to what problems can be solved. Leaders can be grown within the organization. It's not necessary, for example, to select somebody on the district level who is already in a senior leadership position. It could be one of the teachers, it could be one of the coaches, somebody who is trusted and respected by the people who will be participating in the program. Another important thing from the executive leadership is to provide the support for the leader of the video program. It comes both as a financial support, but also as an organizational support. Both are very important to see the project through to make sure that it succeeds. Having regular check-ins and looking at the data of participation can also help as the program progresses, give you an idea whether it's going well or whether people are not liking it, and then adjust as necessary. And at the end, you want to really lead by example. You want to model the behavior of using video in your everyday work as well, which means you would be, for example, recording staff meetings and making them available both for feedback as well as of viewing afterwards. Or you can do some of the district development studies, or come into the classroom and teach and record yourself and ask the teacher to provide the feedback. Anywhere where you can implement video and model the behavior of how video can be used is always beneficial for the program. Another important part of how to get the program off the ground and running and make it successful is the buy-in from the people who are going to participate in the video program. If it's a coaching environment, that would be the teachers who would be getting coached. If it's other environments, it would be participants who would be creating the video and then sharing that video. One of the important ways to overcome some of the challenges of a buy-in is to set the goals that are clear and are explained to everyone, and that they explain exactly why it's on video and how video is advantageous to achieving these goals. Oftentimes when you share why you're going to be using video, there's lots of myths or misconceptions about how video can be used in a negative way. It is important to address those right away from the beginning. Actually encourage people to bring in their own ideas of what makes them uncomfortable being on video. Training with the right technology so people are comfortable creating content, comfortable using the tools is very important. And in the end, creating some level of either incentives or recognition for participating in the program. We have seen some school districts have financial incentives for participation. Other school districts choose more of a social exemplary showcasing, where they on social media like Twitter and some other platform exemplify and recognize the people who have done a great work with the program, with their videos, and been open to participation. Last one in this group of organizational challenges is the execution. Sometimes we see where you have a great buy-in, you have a great leadership, but then the program stalls because of some kind of issues around the execution of the vision retake. The last part of organizational challenges is execution. We've seen on a number of occasions where even with a buy-in and a great leadership, unless the execution persists throughout the program, it can get stalled and lose its momentum somewhere in the middle. One of the things that we always recommend is don't try to shoot for the stars if you've never used video. Start with a small pilot program. Get your early adopters or a few PLCs working together and creating the videos and exchanging the ideas and testing out some of the processes that you want to implement on a larger scale. Always stay on course. If you have a cohort and you've developed the methodologies and you are progressing a certain goal, don't change things mid-cycle. Changing things mid-cycle, changing goals or changing methodologies can lead to the whole program stalling because of the confusion of what should be done. And at the end, listen to the participants' feedback. See where they're having additional challenges. Understand that a lot of times for people, this is maybe a first time that they're creating videos. Maybe it's the first time they're using some of the new technology. And so it is expected that on the very first try, some of the participants are going to hit the roadblocks. And if you're not there to listen to them, to adjust maybe some of the things, the whole program will stall. The second part of the challenges that I'd like to address today is the technology challenges that can work against you in building out a video program. The first part is tools. Tools are hardware and software and maybe some of the other technology parts that you're going to be using. One of the things that we would like everyone to think about is, what is the whole process that they would like to go through? And then selecting the tools that are covering the whole process. So some of those could be familiar tools already. Some tools could be something that teachers are already using. But on the other hand, avoid trying to take some of the point tools and then create a process where you're expecting teachers to fill in a lot of blanks, and then you're burning a lot of their time, which leads to non-use and resistance. So avoiding building in manual steps, avoiding solving inadequacy of the tools by making the participants work harder is usually a big no-no. Audio is also one of the keys that people kind of forget. Video is great in capturing some of the elements and some of the informations in the classroom, but the audio we found is also gives that richness and really clear understanding of what is the environment looks like. For example, measuring the engagement level of the students is much better in audio than in video, because oftentimes it's difficult to see the whole classroom or see the specifics of some of the interactions, versus through listening to the whole classroom and maybe in a small groups environment, listening to different groups, you're able to understand that level of engagement better. Lastly, the quality of the tools. Sometimes the tools that are chosen, they're chosen with minimum testing and then become unstable or suffer from an intermittent operation. And it could be very, very frustrating for people who are participating, where they don't feel like they have a very solid set of tools that they can rely on. Again, piloting is the best way to test things out, just like piloting to solve other challenges. You get a chance to try things out. Participants get to try the tools, understand whether there's some limitations that were unexpected. Seek recommendation from others, people who are ahead of you and potentially have implemented the video program in the past and already have an active community of people using it. And then share what you're planning with the teachers and invite them to take part of the evaluation process. Oftentimes we find that through the evaluation process, they become more and more comfortable in not just using the tools, but also much more comfortable with the idea of video as part of their everyday teaching experience. The capabilities are also important, because sometimes if you choose a tool that is good for today, and then next year or the year after you want to extend the capability of what you want to do with your program, the tool is not there to support you, and you have to do a whole retraining cycle, which could be both costly but also prevent people from wanting to participate again. So plan a little bit for growth. Think about not what you just want to do this year, but also if it's successful the first year, what are you going to do in the following years, so that you can select the tool set that will meet those demands in the future. We also recommend considering students. We found that teachers become much more interested in using video with their students, and that builds more conversational paths for not just teacher to student, but also teacher to coach, because there's more content and more video captured as teachers are working with the students. And the last one is testing corner cases. Oftentimes we find that people don't really recognize some of the limitations of the technology around simple things like file sizes or resolutions or other things. And so you want to test it out before you start rolling out these tools. The last part of the challenges that I'd like to address is privacy and security, which are actually very important in the context of this rich media. First is to understand what is the district compliance and what are the district requirements that you have in order to make sure that you fit your program within those requirements. We often see where people have built out the program, but the requirements of the district as far as security or privacy preventing them to kick the program off and start using the tools or start executing the program. So first, define what is the purpose of the video. Oftentimes, a lot of confusion and conflicts between, for example, the IT organization or people who are responsible for compliance comes from misunderstanding of the purpose. A lot of times defining the purpose as something that is used for coaching or observation of teachers and not necessarily on evaluation of students resolves some of those conflicts. At the same time, understanding what restrictions might be there might help you frame your program in a way that it does not impinge on those restrictions. So for example, if the district does not allow students to be recorded, even though it might reduce the effectiveness of video, it's still important to understand and to inform the participants of what they can and cannot do. You also want to work with the technology vendors who have the most breadth and experience in working with a variety of districts, because they will probably have the most robust set of tools that are compliant with the requirements of the district. You also need to get teachers comfortable with the idea that this video is captured and stored and how it's going to be used. If the teachers aren't comfortable or feel like their videos can leak out or somebody inappropriate might see them, they're less likely to participate in the program. So it starts by educating, so clearly outlining who's going to have access to the videos, what control each individual teacher will have over the video, and what is shared and what is not shared are very, very important. If again, you need to define the goal of why this program is running and how the video is going to be used, and make sure that the teachers are comfortable with the whole process of both capture and sharing and storage of that video, so they understand that they have control over portions of that pathway and that they're comfortable with the portions that they don't have direct control. On the feature levels, sometimes if you acquire tools or build a program where you're not able to do the safeguards around the video, the whole program falls apart. So the key features could be both on the tool set, so things like single sign-on, administrative oversight, everything has to be encrypted, all of the infrastructure has to be resilient, so that's a very well understood. Compliance to standards, so COPPA and FERPA and data sharing agreement and GDPR, there's many different standards that probably your school or school district would like to be set on. And then you want to periodically review what has happened with the tool set, what is the latest and greatest in understanding around how to protect the data and how to make it secure. That's pretty much it. We have a few resources that we have collected that might help you with creating guidelines within your school district. We have examples of both third-party advice about how to create a positive recording environment, or specifically how to use Swivel for instructional coaching. We also have examples of some of the customers who have build out a very successful multi-year program and are using video in almost everyday applications. Thank you.